A good friend and a friend of the program and a great writer, Brad Meltzer, is with us. And he has written History Decoded, the 10 greatest conspiracies of all time. And this is absolutely a Glenn Beck book because it's riddled with things for the ADD, and it has actual history in it and things that for instance, I'm just reading about D.B. Cooper. I didn't know half of the stuff about D.B. Cooper in this. I know
that is one of the most fascinating stories.
Yeah, too. Tell the story, Brad. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Good to be back. It's actually my wife's favorite story in the book of all things,
really?
Because it's one that she didn't know, and we wanted to count down the top conspiracies throughout history. And listen, we want to do Lincoln, we want to do JFK, we want to do the big ones. But I was like, let's have ones that are amazing that you've never heard of, so you learn something. So D.B. Cooper gets on a plane, and he says, "I want 200." He says to the flight attendant, "I have a bomb. I want $200,000 in $20 bills and 4 parachutes, or I'm blowing the plane up." And so they land the plane. They let everyone on the plane off, and then D.B. Cooper, they take off again. They're going to Tahiti. They're having their wherever they're going to let them off.
He gets the money,
and he gets the money. Right, gets the money, gets the parachutes, and all of a sudden he opens the back door of the plane and jumps out and disappears. Now, the best part of the story is it's to this day the only unsolved hijacking in U.S. history.
Yeah.
And what I love in this chapter is we actually give you an answer. We found a guy. There's a guy named Kenny Christensen. A few years ago, dies. He's on his deathbed. Tells his brother right before he dies, "I have something I'm ashamed to tell you." And the brother doesn't know what it is. And the guy dies. So now the brother starts going through his stuff. And as he's going through his stuff, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I think my brother's D.B. Cooper." And he finds his brother was a Northwest Airlines pilot. D.B. Cooper was on a Northwest Airlines plane. And his brother was fired, so he has an axe to grind. And then his brother is digging ditches for a living. That's what he's doing, making no money. But right after D.B. Cooper jumps, his brother pays for his house in cash and opens up a bank account with $180,000 in it. So he's either the best ditch digger of all time, right? And then the other part is we actually on Decoded, we go on the show, we go to the house, we take a thermal scanner, and no one's ever gone to the guy's house and checked. So we bring this thermal scanner, and we're checking.
Really? Because I remember the news story.
Right, the stories were always there.
Tracked that down?
Well, they were
digging
in the house, weren't they digging? They were digging in the backyard, right?
That's right, and they found. That's exactly right. They found $20 bills. Okay, so now you find you think, okay, well, take a better look. But this guy was a
wait. Because I know in your book you talk about how the FBI scanned all of the serial numbers. Those $20 bills that they found by the tree stumps, were those...
Those were not... The $20 bills were found by the tree stumps weren't, which is, again, why I always say, well, that's not a fact. Give me a fact first before you give me an opinion.
Yep.
Right? And but they did find those $20 bills have been found all over in that area. Okay, not right where the house is, but in that area.
Okay.
What they do find, what we found in the ceiling, we go in and above the guy's bedroom, we're up there. We don't think we're going to find anything. We see a pocket that shows up on the scanner, and we think, oh, this is going to be like, just an air vent or something like that. And underneath the pink insulation, we find a secret open door and a place to hide stuff, a secret hiding spot. Now, I don't know about your bedroom, but above my bedroom, we do not have secret hiding spots.
Right.
Right? And then they go through his picture frame. The brother finds behind his picture frame, where there's a nice picture, is he opens up the picture frame, and there's another picture behind it hidden. And it's a picture of this guy, his brother, walking in what looks like, and you see the picture in the book, a big giant sack of money and a briefcase that fits perfectly into that hiding spot. And it's an amazing story, one of my favorites. It's the perfect crime. And I was like, it's a great conspiracy. What I hate is that D.B. Cooper has become a folk hero.
Yeah.
You know what he is? He's a criminal.
Yeah.
We should not be celebrating criminals, right? But what I want to do is tell the real story. So when you get, and as you said, we give you the evidence. When you open up each chapter of the book, it's not just a chapter. There's a little flap, and you can pull out, here's the FBI report. Here's what he looks like. We give you his actual ticket for the airline. And you get to examine that evidence and look at it yourself.
But you really believe that he was D.B. Cooper?
I think that guy is D.B. Cooper.
Right? Yeah.
I do. There's reports. A report came out yesterday that said there's a new person who they're claiming is D.B. Cooper, and they got a new person. I called my friend in the FBI, and he says it's not going to check out. So we'll see, but that's the best one we've got. I love telling the story, and that's why it's a great conspiracy, right? Great conspiracies tend to, by nature, not have answers.
An amazing story. He did get away with it. He got away with the crime. He didn't die.
Right, didn't die. And listen, this is
Well, I mean, when I remember the story growing up, we didn't know if he lived or died.
Right. And
I
nobody
mean, he could have gone into the Columbia River and...
Yes.
You know.
Right. They found some of the money.
If it's this
They don't find the
guy,
body,
he
right.
obviously lived.
Yeah. Okay, so
thrived.
let's go through a couple of them. Some people say that John Wilkes Booth was not captured, that he lived under an alias. Give me that story.
So a couple years ago, and someone had read one of my novels, a lawyer, and it was a lawyer for the family for John Wilkes Booth, who famously shot Abraham Lincoln. And they call me up, and the lawyer says to me, I represent the family of John Wilkes Booth, and we have a story to tell you. And their story is that their relative, every history book will tell you, John Wilkes Booth died 12 days after he shot Abraham Lincoln in a barn in Maryland. He says they want to tell you that their relative did not die in a barn. He actually escaped. He took on a new alias. He lived for many years, and he's not the one buried in the coffin. Brad, do you want to hear that story?
No.
Yes, I want. I have to go now.
Nah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very busy
Late for a dinner appointment.
Yeah,
then.
and so of course I say I want to hear the story. So the amazing part of the family story, and we put in the book. You can read the letter. You pull out the letter that John Wilkes Booth left behind when he shot Lincoln. We leave you the actual will they gave us. They have the will of their relative. And what is amazing is you have this 90-year-old woman, and I said, why are you telling the story now? Why now, after all these years? She said, when I was a little girl, my family sat me down and said, we're related to John Wilkes Booth, and the family secret is he escaped after he shot Lincoln, and you can't tell anyone. And she said, the reason I'm telling it now is because I'm 90 years old, I'm going to die soon. And before I die, I want the truth told. She wasn't trying to make money. She didn't want fame. She wasn't trying to make a movie deal. She just wanted the truth out there. And I'm very skeptical, especially when it comes to conspiracies. You know me well enough like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe deathbed confessions. I believe at the end of your life, there's very little manipulation.
So you believe that he did escape?
No, I don't actually. I actually don't.
Oh.
After looking at the evidence, I believe she was told that story and believes it.
Okay.
When we looked
She
at the
believes
evidence,
it,
yeah,
but
I
you
believe
don't.
she believes it. Here's why. And we looked into this, and you'll see, is when you look at the will, and again, we all love artifacts. You got to look at the artifact, look at the truth. The will shows what John Wilkes Booth left, what they left to John Wilkes Booth family. There's no signature at the bottom of the will. At that point in history, signatures were everything. In fact, I've looked in the National Archives. They have when slaves built the White House, they make sure there's a signed X on there. These guys couldn't write, but they had to have that X. And I'm like, well, where's the signature? The interesting part also is that there's 3 different offshoots of the John Wilkes Booth family. All of them say that their relative is the one. One of them is named John B. Wilkes. Now, if you're John Wilkes Booth and you're trying to hide your identity, is the best alias to pick John B. Wilkes, right? I mean,
Yeah, nobody would get
I'm
that.
sorry, but that's like me saying, my name is Mad Meltzer, and hoping I'm going to fool anybody out there. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. So some of them fall apart. The interesting part to me is there's a point in time in America where Americans go and pay money at carnivals to see the mummified body of John Wilkes Booth. Right? I've just said the word John Wilkes Booth, Abraham Lincoln, and mummy in the same sentence. That's the best Abraham Lincoln story of all time to me.
Okay, give me the cornerstone of democracy. The White House was built. Freemasons supposedly put the cornerstone of democracy in the White House.
That's exactly right. 1792, first piece of the White House is put down in an elaborate Freemason ceremony. They put down that first piece. It's called the cornerstone. We have the cornerstone of the Washington Monument, the Capitol. They used to always put that first stone down. Within 24 hours, the first piece of the White House goes missing. For 200 years now, everyone from Harry Truman to Barbara Bush has gone looking for it. Nobody knows where it is. And we went looking for it. And the amazing part is I'm like, this is the most important piece. It's the cornerstone of democracy. Where did it go? And I love, everyone, of course, blames the Freemasons, because why not blame the Freemasons? Everyone, you put the word Freemason in Google right now, it says they're stealing your car, they're eating your babies, they're doing everything. The Freemasons are so secretive that when you're in Washington, D.C. next time, go on 16th Street and they will take you on their public tour. That's how secretive they are.
No, I know. It's very secret.
But what we did in the book and what I love...
But they'll kill you after.
Of course.
I mean, you'll still be alive, but they'll kill you.
Nobody's ever survived a Freemason tour.
No one survives the Freemason gift shop.
After you buy their crap, then it's over.
Then that's it, right? You have to spend the money first. And so what we put in, what I do like that we put in the book is, we actually show you the inner sanctum of the Freemason headquarters in Washington, D.C. You're holding it up right now.
This is the best part of this book. It has all of these little things. In each chapter, you open up a little envelope, and it has. Your kids will love this, and this is the way kids love to learn history. This is the way you'll love to learn history. Is in this book. Again, it's called History Decoded: The 10 Greatest Conspiracies of All Time. But your kids will absolutely love it. I loved it myself. Anyway,
So basically, and there's the inner sanctum. You get to see it. And what was fascinating to me is when Harry Truman, when they tore apart the White House and built the Truman balcony on the back, they said, you know what, we're down here, we're digging around, let's try and find the cornerstone. So they bring in these kind of World War II era mine detectors, and they actually hear the beep, 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 and they're like, we got it. And at that moment in time, Harry Truman says, stop digging. Harry Truman, 33rd president, was a 33-degree Mason, and he says, stop digging. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows. The truth is, now, of course, everyone wants to tell you a lie and wants to tell you that means it's the end of the world. The truth is, they were worried about basically messing up the foundation of the White House. That's a good reason to stop digging. So I love that in the book we try and really separate myth from fact. That to me is if I give one gift to America, it's give them back facts.
Here, and I want to get to that with the JFK conspiracy, because you have a takedown of Oliver Stone that is worth the price of the book. But let me go here. The Spear of Destiny. This is a fantastic story. I didn't even know. I've never heard of the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah, this is why we're friends. This is one of my favorites in the whole book.
Yeah.
So this is the spear that supposedly pierces Christ's side while he's on the cross. The most famous spear in all of history now. And what's interesting to me is they say that it has been passed down through history. This spear went to Constantine, went to Otto I, Napoleon, and that all these great rulers, over 20 different rulers, had power because they had the power of the spear. This is like the Ark of the Covenant. In a way, this is Indiana Jones. Well, not only that, that's where they got the idea for the Indiana Jones movie. That's what
the Spear of Destiny?
It's from the Spear of Destiny.
Really?
That's exactly where it's from. Now, the interesting part to me is whether you believe in magic powers of a spear or not. You know who went looking for the spear is Adolf Hitler. Now, you tell me that Adolf Hitler wants this thing, I want to know what it is, right? I don't care if it's a broom handle. If Adolf Hitler wants it, I want to know why he wants that thing. And the Vatican right now insists that they have the original spear. They say it's buried under the Vatican with a piece of the first cross, with the true cross. And there's a...
How do you mean buried?
It's in St. Peter's Basilica underneath.
Okay, so wait, but because I've been in the secret archives. Have you ever been to the secret archives?
I actually haven't been to the archives. We actually, in the book, though, we have the map of what's under there.
I have been in the archives. Very few people get it. Is absolutely incredible.
It's one of my places that I want to do a book
one
there
of the most
just to go there.
Incredible places you've ever seen. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So underneath they have the head of St. Peter, they have a piece of the true cross, and they have the Spear of Destiny. It is all buried down there. There's a museum in Vienna that insists they have the true spear. Of course, no one will let us test the spear. No one wants to say they don't have the right spear.
Correct.
The interesting part to me is a number of years ago, a guy approaches me and says that he works for a very powerful man who has the ear of a U.S. president. And again, I'm very doubtful of this, so we check him out. We run him through the police. We check, sure enough, who he works for. It is a guy who is close to a U.S. president. And he says that he was told one day that his boss is the one who has the true spear. Adolf Hitler went looking for it. Adolf Hitler supposedly found one. And what they said is that they stole it, and they gave Adolf Hitler a fake one. They gave Heinrich Himmler a fake one. And that he has the real one. And he says that right now there's a small group that is waiting for the temple to be rebuilt in Jerusalem, and they believe, this small group called the Sons of the Fallen, that God is the bad guy in the story, the devil is the good guy in the story, and one day they hope to take control of the world. Now, you can roll your eyes at the ridiculousness of and the scariness of that, but to me, what is more telling about this guy who came to me is that he doesn't believe for 1 second that the spear has magic powers. He doesn't believe that, of course he doesn't believe that God's the bad one in the story, but he believes that there are people who do believe it and they're willing to kill for it. And I believe that.
I believe that too.
I believe that very much. And so we show you the story of the Sons of the Fallen in the book, and you don't have to evoke 9/11 to know the danger of a small group with a belief of God that is completely different from our own, the damage you can do.
Okay, we've got to get, if you can hang out for a few more minutes.
I can hang out.
Because I want to get to JFK, but there's also Area 51, and my favorite, is there any gold in Fort Knox?